I love that because, in case you didn't know, public speaking is the number one fear in the world. So that shows you have a lot of you have a lot of courage to kind of step out of your comfort zone. So I'm interested to kind of get your take on where do you draw that courage and strength from?
My mom inspires me a lot. She went through a lot. There were moments in our lives where people tell us not to talk or to put our head down. And I think thinking of those things and that happened in my life gives me the courage to do this, to actually challenge myself to not stay in that persona that it's not me, but it's my past or what my family went through. Yeah, that's where I got the courage.
All right, welcome and thank you for coming in today, Esther. Would you mind sharing a little bit about who you are, who do you help, what do you do, kind of thing?
Yes, my name is Esther, and I am the host of From the Ground Up with Esther podcast. And I help share stories of people that are building something in their lives, either a business, a community, people of faith that are helping other people.
Oh, I love that. Podcasting is getting so big and popular, and I'm interested to hear what really inspired you to start your podcast.
I always wanted to start a podcast about 6 years ago. I had a friend who interviewed me on his, and I asked him how to start a podcast, and he said, just do it, you can. But I didn't do it. I waited for so long. And then 3 years ago, I had that breaking point where I asked myself, what do I like to do? And I said, let me go back to and think of the things I like that I left behind and I didn't pay attention to. And the podcast idea came back to life.
Oh, I love that. So I feel like that's so true because a lot of people have a lot of ideas and they put it on the back burner and they never revisit back to that. In that moment of reflection and realizing like, hey, I want to bring back to that. What can you bring us to that moment? Like what really inspired you to take action at that moment versus any other previous time?
Yes, I was trying to look for something that I was passionate about, and I had this feeling that I could do something else. And I shared this before on my social media, how I met two girls that inspired me. They were always pushing me and asking me, what is it that you like to do? What is it that you like to do? And I went back to my childhood and asked, what did I like to do when I was younger? And I like presenting at school. I like speaking in public. I like teaching when I'm at church. And I said, I actually like speaking, I like listening to stories. And that's when the idea, I said, I actually have to start the podcast. And after I did that, it was wonderful because all these other doors and opportunities and people came to my life.
I love that because, in case you didn't know, public speaking is the number one fear in the world. So that shows you have a lot of you have a lot of courage to kind of step out of your comfort zone. So I'm interested to kind of get your take on where do you draw that courage and strength from?
My life, my mom inspires me a lot. She went through a lot. We all have a story to share, and that is, it could be vulnerable, right? But there were moments in our lives where people tell us not to talk or to put our head down. And I think thinking of those things and that happened in my life gives me the courage to do this, to actually challenge myself to not stay in that persona that it's not me, but it's my past or what my family went through. Yeah, that's where I got the courage.
I love it. I love it. Moving forward into this year and with the podcast and everything, can you share a little bit about how you're leveraging the podcast and everything else that you're doing to create a positive impact on the world?
Yes. So I started the podcast in April and I started with my laptop and I didn't know it was going to grow as it's growing right now. It's growing fast, and the people I'm meeting, interviewing, and I get messages from people that I haven't talked to in years, and I get messages saying, "Oh, you're inspiring me. I really needed to hear that. I needed you to talk about that, or that story inspired me." So this is not easy to do, and I do these things because I want to inspire. And sometimes you don't hear from people that you think you're going to hear back that are going to encourage you. But then other people that you haven't talked to in years message you and say, this is inspiring me and I'm very proud of you. It's just wonderful to see how allowing other people to share is also inspire others.
I love that. And I know you also host a decent amount of events. I've been to some of the really great ones that you had recently. Anything else exciting coming up this year that we should be aware of and get ready for?
Yes, I'm having an event this week actually with a career coach, which is going to help us plan the year with more clarity and intention because sometimes we do things in automatic mode instead of actually being intentional. So I have that event and I'll be planning more events throughout the year.
Around the same kind of topics or different kind of?
Different topics because my podcast is a space for people to share their what they're building, and it could be stories of entrepreneurs and things like that. So I want to create events that actually inspire others through people that have already crossed that bridge and they have a step into their calling and by creating a business and organization. So I will be bringing other events that inspire other people through the stories of others. It could be entrepreneurship, community.
I love that you talk a lot about inspiration, and you've got the podcasts that are bringing people together, listeners, and you also got these events that you're doing in person, bringing people together. I'd love to get your take on community and why it's so important.
It's important because we're not meant to live alone. And if you want to grow, you have to surround yourself with other people. I grew up in the church community, and that has always been helpful for me because it allows me to see that we were created for that, to help each other out. And sometimes when we're feeling down, we need that person that will see the good in you and encourage you and say, hey, do not forget, you're actually good at this. You have to give it to somebody else. And I think it's important to have that community, and if you want it and you don't have it, it's also good to create it because other people are looking for that.
Yeah, that's really powerful stuff. And I hold connection, building relationships very highly. And it's inspiring to see all the work and things that you're doing, bringing people together and sharing great value with the world. For those of you who are listening right now, what's the best place to get connected with you and stay up to date with the different events and episodes that you release?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram as From the Ground Up with Esther. That's my handle. And you can also email me at esthermoscoso.pod@gmail.com. I have that open if you would like to reach out to me and find out what's happening.
Awesome. Esther, thank you so much for stopping in today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, follow, subscribe, and leave us a review as your feedback continues to help us grow this podcast. If you have any questions or would like to connect, we are on Instagram at From the Ground Up with Esther, or you can email us at esthermoscoso.pod@gmail.com. This episode is brought to you by Kayi Visions, a full-service podcast and content studio in Stamford, Connecticut. And as always, thank you to our show sponsor, Mary's Alfajores, delicious sweet treats that melt in your mouth. I will see you on the next episode.